Example 1b. Solve the quadratic equation by completing the square. X squared equals 18x minus 69. Now notice in this example, our first step as before is to get the two terms involving x on the same side, on the left side. This time, instead of moving a constant, we actually need to move our x term next to our x squared term. In other words, we're going to have to subtract the 18x from the right side and move it over to the left side by subtracting it. This will give us on the left side x squared minus 18x equals negative 69. What's our next step? We need to add a blank to both sides, right? This is setting us up to create a perfect square trinomial on the left. How do we create that perfect square trinomial? We take half of the middle coefficient. Notice our middle coefficient is negative 18. And what's half of negative 18? Half of negative 18 is simply the number negative 9. Now, what goes in the blank is not negative 9, but instead negative 9 squared. Negative 9 times negative 9, which is 81. So that's the number that we fill in both blanks with. So 81 goes here, and 81 goes here. We're now ready to rewrite our perfect square trinomial as a binomial square. Something times something. Well, something times itself, actually. And notice I put a plus, but really what's the number that we're going to put in there? Let's get rid of that plus sign. The number that goes in there is going to be half of negative 18, and be very careful, half of negative 18 is negative 9, so what goes in our binomial square is actually x minus 9 squared. And you can check off to the side. If you take x minus 9 times x minus 9, when you multiply that out, that should give you back x squared minus 18x plus 81. Cool, so we've factored now the left side. Let's simplify the right side. 81 minus 69 is simply 12. So we have x minus 9 quantity squared equals 12. Now we have quantity squared equals some positive number, and we finish by using the square root property. That is, we take the object inside the square, which is x minus 9, and that has to be plus or minus the square root of 12. To finish, we isolate x. That is, we add 9 to both sides of our equation. And that's going to give us that x is 9 plus or minus the square root of 12. Observe we can simplify just a little farther because square root of 12, remember, is 4 times 3, which we can rewrite simply as 2 times the square root of 3, because the square root of 4 is 2. Or if you like, 2 times 2 is 4, and so we can pull out a factor of 2. That tells me then that x is equal to 9 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 3. That's as far as we can simplify this answer, so we write our two solutions as 9 plus 2 times the square root of 3 and 9 minus 2 times the square root of 3. Those two numbers are the solution to our original quadratic equation, x squared equals 18x minus 69. This completes example 1b. Example 1c. Solve the equation by completing the square. Quantity x minus 10 times quantity x plus 2 equals negative 30. Our first step this time is to multiply out our left side, so we get something that looks more like a quadratic equation to work with. So let's multiply out these two binomials. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is plus 2x. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x. And negative 10 times 2 is negative 20. On the left side, we have x squared plus 2x minus 10x minus 20. On the right side, we have negative 30. Let's continue to simplify. Our left side then becomes x squared minus 8x minus 20 equals negative 30. This is looking much more like a quadratic equation, a degree 2. What do? We want to isolate the two terms that have x in them, which means we need to add 20 to both sides. Move our constant to the right side. So let's add 20 to both the left and the right, and that will isolate our two terms involving x. That will give us x squared minus 8x equals, and negative 30 and 20 gives us negative 10. Now what do? We add a blank to both sides. X squared minus 8x plus blank equals negative 10 plus blank. This is setting ourselves up so that we can now rewrite the left side as a perfect square trinomial. How do we do that? We take half the middle coefficient, which is negative 8 times 1/2, and negative 8 times 1/2 is simply negative 4. And then what do with that middle coefficient? We take that magic number, negative 4, and we square it. Negative 4 squared gives us positive 16. That's the number that we fill in both of the blanks with, 16, both on the left and the right. So x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals negative 10 plus 16. We now factor our perfect square trinomial. It's a binomial square, and that binomial is x, and then using our magic number, minus 4. So x minus 4 quantity squared is simply equal to x squared minus 8x plus 16. So we factored the left, we simplify the right, negative 10 plus 16, that's just positive 6. We're now ready to complete the problem by using the square root property. Quantity squared equals a positive number. Taking the square root on both sides, on the left that leaves us with x minus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 6. We finish by solving for x, and in doing so that means we're going to add 4 to both sides. That'll isolate our x on the left. So we have x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 6. Those two answers solve our original quadratic equation. That is 4 plus the square root of 6 and 4 minus the square root of 6. This completes example 1C.